Assalamu alaikum. My name is Bugomu Adama, and I want to present from the group Laravel. We are actually working on student activities management system. Okay, so in this presentation, we are going to have basically these things listed: the requirement engineering framework, the requirement management, the requirement validation, and the conclusion. So, what is the system activity management? The student activity management system. Actually, this is a system that has been that we are working on to build in order to help the students, club, the societies, and staff of IIUM, most precisely the staff of Student Affairs Division, to handle the student activities in the university. So the requirement engineering framework here. Okay, first of all, let's talk about the goal of this student activity management system. Basically, this is to help the staff of student affairs division in charge of student activities to receive event proposal from different clubs and different societies. Besides, is to ease students to send their proposal through a website in order to avoid manual or transcript submission. The next objective or goal of this is to track and supervise the activities that are being uh, that are under the student activity division, department. So identify and record the past events that students have done before. This system is to help the staff to keep their eyes on tracking the different activities ongoing and use the previous events data for future activities, and then notify the due date and event report submission to the clubs or staff of student admission. Okay. In this project or in this work, the requirement context have been elaborated here. We have here in the subject facet, the event proposal, the reporting function, the sponsorship, and so on. In the usage facet, we have the student, the club mahala, the staff of student activity department divisions. And the IT facet, we have the IUM local server, the cloud storage, the cloud storage Azure. In the development context, we are using the Laravel framework here. Okay, so basically this is the model that we have been using to develop this web system, this web-based application. So here we are matching the SDLC with the STLC. And here, as you can see, the stakeholders requirement. In this V model, we have listed the SDLC here by matching them with the STLC. Acceptance text is verified, and the system requirement. Both these two goals can actually meet the stakeholders' requirements. In the system requirement, we can see also the system text and the module requirement that are pointing to the system requirements here, and so on. And this model actually is easy to use and helpful in developing web-based system. So to make this model successful in our work, we refer to the Laravel framework, which is a web-based framework, easy to use, an open source PHP web framework, which is created by Tyler Otwell and intended for the development of web application.
Hello, Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Akadi Rahim from Group Laravel. So I will going to present my parts for requirement management. So requirement management is the way for ensuring organized collected data of requirements to be validated. So for this requirement management parts, I will going to explain more about what requirement management tool that we use, and also how to use it, and I will explain a little bit about our functional requirements. So next, so RecView is the name of the software that we're going to use as the management tools. So RecView is basically a simple requirement RM tools that you can capture structure requirement for software and system products to manage traceability links between the product requirement, design, test, and release. So all these steps, design, test, and release, links between, is a very suitable things to use for a V model types of SDLCs, because this really support that manner of iteration between development process and testing process. So next I will going to show the demo. This is going to be the demo for the RecView software requirement management tools. So what I'm going to show firstly how to edit, how to add your requirements and any specific details into your SRS. So you can just use double click and you can just type anything. So for introduction, you can say that this is new introduction. So introduction. So next, I'm going to show you about the traceability. For traceability part, they are this kind of traceability forms that they do. So it will link to any specific pages that you have linked between every template of steps inside the V model. So this is SRS, the first two steps, and there are RIS, there are unit testing, there are architecture steps. So these are the four steps. And for SRS, I will show you about SRS. The most best thing about this, if you do any changes, like what I do before, let's say I have added a new subtitles under 1.8. New subtitles or category. It will show here that I added new things inside the SRS, or if I do on other sprites, it will also show here the history that you have done. That's the best thing. And also the link between the cases that I showed before. I just click here for test cases, it will show you the test cases. So for report generation, so it can export any report template. So you just export your export your files into any given format. So I want to do this format. I just do this. It will give us this. Then I can see the report. This is how it is. Just simple one. And for collaboration, the downside for this software is the collaboration part, because in order to add anything, you have to send your project files to your friends in order they can edit or give you the comments. So if your friends want to leave a comment for your project, you can just go to this discussion parts and you can add your comment. Then you can see that you have change the system features. Sorry, I typed a lot. So yeah, it shows here. And also, other than that, for the collaboration, this also helps your members or your teammate to see what changes has been made. So for the prioritization, the presentation part is all goes to this. They using this if you already done all your subsequential parts before this, it will in the testing phase you have to go through every step from needs, test, and also architecture. They will be verified previous steps from before in the V module. It has been done before. So yeah. Finally, I can say this software is quite easy to use for people who use V model for their STLC because it really help a lot with the templates and also the way of the link between each cases and each step. So that's all for this demo. And now I will go into showcase the functional requirement for our project. So this is the first part of functional requirement. First is the system shall access grant access to student organization. So the most important is this one. The system shall provide students and authorized management staff the ability to generate empty request event forms for requesting event or activities that according to stats event proposal from guidelines. That is the stat event proposal forms. This is the required details that need to be filled in or to be filled in. There's some details that you need to complete it. So here is program details, type of programs, variation of program, kuliah in charge, association clubs in charge, type of activities, and so much more. And this is how it is. The system should allow the student and authorized management staff to discard a request event proposal to fill in process. When filling a proposal form, the system shall be able to save the requested event proposal before the submission. When filling a proposal form, the system shall be able to edit request event proposal before submission. When filling proposal form, the system shall be able to view request event proposal before submission. And the system shall allow user to submit an event proposal by filling the proposal details. So that's the important one. And so much more, you can check out our SRS documentation for the full functional requirements, and I will pass it to my friends Astri about the requirement validation parts and also the conclusion.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Somad Baby Malaysia, and now I will present my part, which is requirement validation. So, what does it mean by requirement validation? Requirement validation is the process of checking that requirements defined for development define the system that the customer really wants. So, to check the issue related to requirements, we perform requirement validation. Well, we usually use requirement validation to check error at the initial phase of development, as the error may increase excessive rework when detected later in the development process. So, requirement validation process, we perform a different type of test to check the requirements mentioned in the software requirement specification (SRS). These checks include completeness checks, consistency checks, validity checks, realism checks, ambiguity checks, and verifiability. The output of requirements validation is the list of problems and agreed on actions of detected problem. The list of problems indicate the problem detected during the process of requirements validation. The list of agreed actions states the corrective action that should be taken to fix the detected problem. There are several techniques which are used either individually or in conjunction with other technique to check the entire part of the system. Some of it includes test case generation, prototype, and requirements review. For our project, we want to specifically focus on requirements review. So, in our requirements review technique, we will focus on three-level skill prioritization, which we will look later in our slide. Our our requirement review technique, which is three-level prioritization. So, a common approach groups requirement into three priority categories. No matter how you label them, if you're using three categories, they boil down to high, medium, and low priority. Such prioritization usually are subjective and imprecise. To make the scale useful, the stakeholders must agree on what each level in their scale means. I like to consider the two dimensions of importance and urgency. Each requirements can be considered as either being important to achieving business objective or not so important, and as being either urgent or not so urgent. This is a relative assessment among a set of requirements and not an absolute binary distinction. This alternative field four possible combination, which we can see in this figure, which we can use to define a priority scale. The first is high priority requirements, which are the most important because the customer needs the capability, and urgent because they need it in the next release. Alternatively, there might be a compelling business reason to implement a requirement promptly, or contractual or compliance obligation might be dictate early release. If a release is shippable without a particular requirement, then it is not a high priority. So the next is the medium priority requirements, which is also important but not urgent, which means that the customer need the capability, but they can wait for a later release. And the last one is the low priority requirements, which is neither important or urgent, which by any means it means that the customer can live without the capability if necessary, and the customer can wait, perhaps forever. So that is all for our slide. For our part, which I repeat that we use three-level priority for our chemist review in our chemist validation.
As for the conclusion, I can say the final verdict for this presentation that student activity management system it surely helps stats to automate their previous workflow by using this system that will allow all the unnecessary or low priority types of works to be handled by the system itself. So things like handling reports or creating a proposal, seeing a due dates or things like that is it is always not been seen any easier than this by the help of this system. So in hope that the system going to be real soon or not, I hope this specific slides or presentation can help you guys learn more about our system and learn more about how to handling requirement and also using tools that required to do in each step of the way from your chosen SDLC process model. So that's it for me. Assalamualaikum and thank you very much.